Hello, theory students. We're starting a new module, and in this module, we will be studying characters that will not die or timeless archetypes. And for this, we will be using Stephen King's Danse Macabre to explore the concept of archetypal images, characters, places, and situations that touch us all emotionally. An archetypal image is almost like a code for a specific feeling. The archetype of the vampire immediately makes us feel fear, specifically the fear of being overpowered and consumed. The archetype of the werewolf also makes us feel fear, but it's the fear that we feel because we're facing something that isn't what it appears to be, something that means us harm. There are, of course, positive archetypes like the mother and the hero, but King's focus is horror. Going beyond horror, though, and extending into any fiction that any of us might ever want to write, King knows that fear or suspense is the thing that turns the pages, even in any other genre. For example, what if my hero never achieves his goal of becoming king and saving his mother from the clutches of his evil uncle? What if this wonderful woman never finds love? What if the evil sorcerer wins the battle for good and evil? These are universal fears, and they drive the stories we tell, and this is why a book written by a horror writer can be so useful to all writers, even those of us, and I'm one of them, who never write a word of horror. I'm neither a horror reader nor a horror writer, but I have never written a book without considering the things I learned from Danse Macabre, which I first read when I was roughly your age. The prologue of my first published book was wholly inspired by King's explanation of the archetypal bad place. We do not have time to read the entire book, but you could do worse than to spend a few hours reading the rest of it on your own. It is dated, so much so that I have deleted some passages that used to be in the syllabus for this class because I just couldn't abide some things he does, like fat shaming, that probably would not be in a book currently published. I wish there were a newer book, but I have not found any other book written since it was published 40 years ago that even attempts to do what King does here, and I have looked. So we will read selections from Danse Macabre, and we will bring the discussion up to date ourselves. Some of the books on the list for your group presentations are recent, one of them published just last year, and several of them published in the 21st century. So our presentations will give us a broad overview of archetypes in fiction over the past 200 years, from Jane Eyre to the present. For our final unit, Stories Across Space and Time, you will choose your own books, and I urge you to consider recently published books. In the end, though, we will come back to King's archetypes, the thing with no name, the vampire, the werewolf, the ghost, the bad place, and more, and we will see that they can hide in stories that bear no resemblance to horror. After all, the coziest cottage can be a bad place when you share it with someone who does not love you. The discussion boards are always particularly lit when we're talking about the concepts introduced in this unit, and I enjoy those conversations very much. I look forward to seeing you there, and I hope you enjoy Stephen King's take on popular fiction.